Lao Shi Lawrence McElroy here for Water Tiger School Tai Chi Chuan. Back into our rotation. We've been doing relatively well late with our every 3 week rotation and upload. However, just heads up, the next one will be a little bit late, just with things that are going on at the 1st of August, the first couple of weeks, 3 weeks actually of August. So somewhere around mid-August, we'll get the next video shot and uploaded. Be patient. It should only be about a week late. So anyway, there is that. Let's start with the t-shirt. It actually sort of becomes an introduction to our focus today because the last time and only other time in any of the video sequences, Facebook Live, and anything on the YouTube channel, this has ever been worn was the first time we introduced any of the Bear Frolics on June 29th, 2020. It's the 2017 World Tai Chi and Qigong Day t-shirt. And that was bear walking. Just FYI, today is the last of the bear. We have done the other 4. Bear walking, again, was a Facebook Live session, so it's in the Facebook Live playlist. The other 3 are all in Tai Chi and Qigong training, and that's bear fighting, bear swinging, and bear turning. Today will be bear pushing. And since it's the frolics, if you follow us, you know the warm-up's going to be from the 9 temple exercises and advance and retreat. So we'll get to all that in a moment. Don't really have a lot else to news-wise. Just FYI, the last time we uploaded something, the World Tai Chi Day archive on our website, watertigertaichi.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, lower right-hand corner, hyperlink to our archive. Bottom of that is the list of the photo galleries. We're finally caught up. We hadn't done the 2022 gallery until recently. It's done. The 2023 gallery has already been uploaded as well. So that's updated. World Tai Chi and Qigong Day. We've also added some more videos to our World Tai Chi playlist here on our channel. So there's that. In the last time, in the last video, I think I mentioned that the studio was currently homeless. This is not, again, my studio. We shoot these in my home, where I home office. We rent studio space from another program. They happened to lose their lease, so they were working on getting a new space. We had our first classes in the new space last night. Nice space, a little compact, but we have the saying, adapt and conquer, so we'll be able to make it work, I think. So anyway, I think that's it for the news. Air quality here and there on Long Island and elsewhere in the country. We have a remote student in the studio program who lives in Florida, so I always check the Florida air quality, and being that far south doesn't do anything for their particle, the amount of particles in their air either at this time. Of course, heat. Water Tiger School has an adage, you know, it's only a temperature, you know, it's just the temperature, but be careful out there with the extreme heat that we're experiencing. And it's almost as if, I don't know, the climate is changing or something. And Long Island is starting to see a little bit of an uptick in COVID-19 infections, but it's been swinging around recently, so hopefully it will drop back down soon. Without further ado then, let me finish my mint. So, advance and retreat, moving forward and backward, retreat and advance, whatever you may call it, works the abdominals, legs, and ankles. It activates the Xi Dantian, not the acupuncture point, but the actual Xi Dantian, the esoteric vessel that sits in the cup of the hips, and the Shen Yu, the essence door. So it's about kidney energy. Sort of a kidney double whammy today, because kidney functions is one of the therapeutic quality, improving kidney functions is one of the therapeutic qualities of the Bear Frolics. So we get a little bit of kidney energy in our warm-up. We get kidney functioning improvement from the Bear Frolics. And it also benefits the organs of the kidneys, liver, spleen, pancreas, gallbladder, the ascending, the descending, and the traverse. Right? It is transverse. Let's get that one screwed up. Colons. So there you go. We do it before the animal frolics because our movement in the animal frolics tends to be one foot at 145 and stepping the other foot out to the other 45. And there's a tendency to have that connection between the hips and the torso turning. So not separating the lower body and the upper body. And you can see what that does to that knee. And this is my right knee. I just did that too a couple times. So let's do the left knee because it's a little healthier than my right knee. Boom. And you can see how that's pulling that left knee in if I turn my hip. So you want that separation. So our approach to the advance and retreat, toes and knees stay the same direction and the feet should be parallel throughout. Some people might do this and they may actually shift their feet. We don't. So we want that separation between the upper body and the lower body. We also like it because it helps us sort of find that balance in other things that we do, sort of at least 2 of our 6 directional force, where you can find retreat and advance and retreat. We always start with retreat because that's always, the first choice whenever conflict arises is, retreat, don't advance, don't exacerbate the situation. So let's talk a little bit about the separation between the upper body and the lower body first. Some of you could probably do this for me. You've heard it often enough over the last 3 years almost. So I'm going to start turning on this band, right? The lower abdominal bands until that point where I feel like, okay, that band, that portion of my spine is done turning. And that lower portion of the spine is the least flexible for me. I have some vertebrae fused together. And it starts to pull that trailing hip, in this case, the right hip, which pulls the knee. So then I move into the mid-spine to see if I can get some more. And after I find my range of motion there, that then, ends and starts tugging on the lower abdominal band, which then tugs on the hips, which tug on the knee, then I move up to the chest and the shoulders. And whatever I have left, I turn my head. And for retreat, that turn to this side happens to be my left side, next to the exercise bike, and the left side of the space. I'm going to fill the left foot. Now, retreat is pushing off on the left foot to fill the right foot while still looking to that side of the classroom. So retreat, I'm looking in the direction from whence I am moving. And then I hold the weight in the right leg as I turn and look to the right. Left knee still forward, right knee still forward, weight's on the right, and I shift. And notice I'm not turning and shifting at the same time. I'm separating the 2 movements. So you have a shift and then a turn, a shift and then a turn. And advance is the same thing, more or less, except I'm looking in the direction into which I will be moving and turn. So the shift and turn are separate there as well. Probably do, I don't know, 6 to 12 pair, both in retreat and advance, just to get the lower body and the whole body sort of engaged and get our minds on our knees before we delve into the last of the Bear Frolics. And by the way, I mentioned that we've done the other 4. I mentioned the playlists that they're on, but you really don't have to go sort through the playlists. You look below us in the comment, not in the comments, but in the text below me here on the video, we've provided the hyperlinks to them. So anyway, I'm going to turn and look to the left as I fill my left foot. Breathe when you have to. I'll suggest a breath pattern here in a little bit, and I'll also add an image. Hopefully I'll be able to maintain my count. I don't promise anything about that this morning. We're going to push off on the left to fill the right, breathing when we have to. Turn, keeping the weight in the right foot. push off on the right foot to fill the left. That's one pair. Turn. Shift. Now maybe as I shift, I'm going to inhale. And then as I turn, maybe I'm going to exhale. Shift maybe on an inhalation. Turn maybe on an exhalation. Two pair. Shift and turn. Shift and turn. But breathe when you have to. Shift and turn. And notice we like leaving our arms hanging. Shift and turn. So if I don't shift immediately, they're going to just take a while to calm down, right? To stop just the ballistic nature of the movement. Shift. And again, notice they're swinging a little bit. And if I just wait for them to naturally and then turn. So there's nothing in them. They're completely flaccid. Shift and turn. It's probably about 4 pair. Shift and turn. And if you want to add the image, shift and turn, something is expanding and I am giving it space. Shift and turn. Shift and turn. We'll call that 5. Shift and turn. But if either manipulating shift, the breath pattern, governing the breath pattern, or considering the image, turn, shift, and turn. We're going to call that 7, 8, and turn. If they get in your way of doing this properly and keeping the mind on the knees, then let those go. Breathe when you have to. Forget the image for now until you get accustomed to the movement. And once you get accustomed to the movement, then start adding those details. One last detail on our last 6 shifts, 6, 5, is see if you can find for what is 3, advancing while you're retreating. 2, shift or turn, shift. Now don't do anything because now we're going to advance. We'll do the second part of the exercise. So my feet are flat. I want to maintain my vertical alignment here. Notice I'm not leaning back. I'm not kipping forward. Probably should have started with that, right? Knees and toes facing the same direction. You know, this might be a little bit easier for you if your feet are a little bit together. It's a little bit more difficult to keep the toes and knees in the same direction when you're a little bit farther apart. And breathe when you have to. I'm going to suggest a different breath pattern once we start playing this a little bit. Shift. Now I'm pushing off on the left foot to fill the right, but I'm looking to the right side of the space. And turn. And I'm maintaining crown point of the head over the base of the pelvic bowl throughout. Shift and turn. Ideally perfect world. Shift and turn. Shift and turn. And that's 2 pairs. Now maybe I am exhaling on the shift and inhaling on the turn. So I've reversed the way I was governing the breath before. I don't know why I want to say manipulating. That's not a word that I usually use. When I'm talking about breath or movement, it's always governing. Turn, 3 pair. Shift and turn. Shift and turn. So breathe when you have to, but again, it might be an exhalation on the shift, on the advance, and inhalation on the turn. Shift and turn. 4. Shift and turn, shift and turn. 5, shift and turn. In the image, shift and turn. Now would be something's contracting, compressing, something's moving away from you, and you're moving into the space left behind. It's becoming yin, you're becoming yang. Shift and turn. 6, 7, and turn. 7 and turn. And again, shift and turn. You might shift and turn, be considering what's retreating. Shift and turn while other parts of you are advancing. Shift and turn almost to the last 6, but not quite. Shift and turn. Shift and turn. Now we're going to call this the last 6 shifts. Shift and turn, shift and turn, last 4, shift and turn, shift and turn, last 2, shift and turn, last 1, shift, turn and face the front, and redivide the weight equally between the 2 feet. There you go, little advance and retreat from the 9 temple exercises. So again, you can't have yang without yin. You can't have yin without yang. So you can't advance without retreating, and you can't retreat without advancing. So I mentioned the primary therapeutic quality of the Bear Frolics is improving kidney function. So that includes urinary and reproductive issues, both men and women, and assists in strengthening the spine, the back, the shoulders, and the lower body. And that's the therapeutic qualities. But again, primarily kidney energy. That's not something that you really have to consider as you're doing it, but it is, one of the things that we just, sort of keep in the back of the mind. As we know, if you've been following our series with the animal frolics, each animal has a nature, a spirit, a movement focus, a breath focus, and a chi focus. Some of those are more complicated than others. But we want to keep even the nature and the spirit of the bear in mind, because when we get to the sort of the final thing, which is really becoming the bear, all of these little details, the therapeutic qualities, again, not really that important in the scheme of things overall, but the nature, the spirit, the movement, the breath, and the chi are considered the Buddhist aspects in this approach to the frolics. The Taoist aspects is shedding the idea that you're pretending you're a bear and actually becoming the bear. As always, to reach that, I suggest one, you think the animals come alive in the eyes. You really get a sense of if the animal's there or not in the eyes. But also watch documentaries on bears, how they move. I like the quality that the movement is really driving down and into the earth, and you're actually supposed to, if you're going to start with the Bear Frolics, you're supposed to draw earth energy first. That's something that is not McElroy Laochi's strong point of remembering. But you draw earth energy first before you move into a pass, or this is normally done in a circle, as you have heard me say before. Learning this approach to the animal frolics, because it's very mobile, is a lot easier to do in a linear fashion. And that's how we approach it in the studio when we do a deep drill in our Qigong series. But then once everybody gets on the same page, we do the circle walk. A little bit more complicated than I just did. Anyway, you get the idea. And we actually lay out the animals. I think the last time we did the deer frolics, I had the animals out, and I didn't bother grabbing them this time. Thought about it, but decided not to. So anyway, the nature of the bear is expressed in its softness on the surface with great power underneath. And the spirit of the bear is in its steadiness, its solidity. So again, these are things that we need to consider as we are playing the bear. Softness on its surface, that idea that, you see a big lumbering bear with all the soft flesh on the outside, and it's like, there's a reason they're called bear hugs. This is just so encompassing, and you really want to hug a bear. And it's like, no, don't hug a bear. Because there's great power and strength underneath. And that's, again, the nature of the bear. The spirit of the bear is its sturdiness, its steadiness, its solidity. That under that softness, again, sort of going back to the nature of the bear, it's just muscle upon muscle. The movement, I also mentioned, into the earth. All of it, even with bear turning back in the day. One of my best productions for you guys. breath, both in and out through the nose. Earlier frolics of the bear walking, bear fighting, for instance, had 3 sharp exhalations. This is just one. There is a little bit of difficulty in the breath with this one because there's one of the transitions in movement that are done without a breath. So you're neither inhaling nor exhaling, ideally, in that transition. But if you need to, again, do what you need to do to make it work for you. But do your best to then get the breath in the pattern it's supposed to be for the actual movement. The Qi is sunk to the Xi Dantian, again, not the acupuncture point, the actual esoteric vessel that sits in the lower abdominal cavity on the inhalation and driven to the shoulders or brought to the shoulders on the exhalation. So Xi Dantian on the inhalation, brought to the shoulders on the exhalation. So that's the breath. Again, softness on the outside, great power underneath, steadiness, solidity, movements into the earth, breath in and out through the nose, soft inhalation, forceful exhalation, and the Qi is sunk to the Xi Dantian on the inhale and brought to the shoulders on the exhale. Those are the things that we need to keep in mind as we're moving. So again, the earth energy draw it looks a lot like if you do Tai Chi Qigong, there's a piece in the primary stationary Tai Chi Qigong that is water and fire mutually interact. And it is the same movement, drawing in on the inhalation and then settling the Qi down into the Xi Dantian on the exhalation. That's done 3 times before you start a pass. Our walk, if I took everything else out of it, would be the sort of, some people call that duck feet when they're facing out, as opposed to pigeon-toed and facing in. 45 to 45-ish. You know, some people, because of hip tightness, that sort of thing, if they're at the 45, they can do nothing but pull that knee. So if you have to, shallow up the angle so it's not quite 45 to 45. And there's no dictation as to the width or length of the step. So find the width and the length that work for you. It's not like all of the Tai Chi walk videos that we do at Water Tiger School where we emphasize feet have to be shoulder wide. In any of the animal frolics, it's really put the feet where they need to be for you to manifest. Again, a lot of people have different approaches to the animal frolics. Some people might take a step out and then bring it back in and take a step out and bring it back in. Other people might not do the 45 to 45. They might step right straight forward and back, or they may take a stance and shift forward and back. And they have different animals. Our 5 animals, and we've done crane, tiger, are the 2 that we've completed. This will complete the bear. We have 1 left of the monkey. We have 1 left of the deer. And then we have the basic animal frolic, which Water Tiger approaches not as a basic animal frolic. So that'll be our last frolic. About 3 frolic videos down, I guess, from this one. But we're going to turn the lower body. We'll focus on the lower body first. And initially, ball of the foot toes on the floor, and then switch to the heel and shift forward. And this will be done on the inhalation, and then this is done on the exhalation. And then ideally no breath, and then inhalation, switch to the heel, exhalation. And there's still a hold of both physical movement and breath before you bring in that trailing foot. And then begin the next inhalation, hold, and exhalation, hold. and then ideally no breath. And then inhalation, hold. Switch to the heel, exhalation, hold. And for this little lower body, right at the edge of the screen, so I'm going to bring in that foot. When we do a pass in the Animal Frolics, we do a little closing. If you know Water Tiger School, you know what poor Qi through the back way looks like. The feet are shoulder wide. That's what we do. Whatever angle we're facing at, we turn on the balls of the feet to the direction we've been walking. Palms up, palms down, and then a little rebound brings the hands to the acupuncture point for the Xi Dantian. So again, that's that closing that I finish. If I was walking in a circle, for instance, I was here and I'm walking on this rounded line, what I do is turn into wherever I am on the surface of the circle and do that. But that's that movement. Take that last step, balancing the two sides. Start with a left step. You want to end with a right step. Turn on the balls of the feet. Hopefully don't lose your balance. And boom. And that's the lower body. Something that you have to keep in mind with the upper body. There are two positions for the hands. One is relaxed with the arms extended but also relaxed and palm to palm. And the fingers, you're basically, just sort of a natural opening of the hands. And the other, the bear paws, excuse me, not really claws for the bear. You may remember from the tiger videos, sure what I got caught in my throat this morning. The tiger has, not claws like you might see in tiger style, but sort of claws extended just at the surface, right? Bear paws are like this. And that's the second one. That's the one we take when we push. So that neutral position, the position into which we move without a breath, is arms are hanging. And then on that inhalation, hands come up, palm to palm, and you hold. Switch to the heel. Exhale, roll in as you set the heel down. Shift forward, forceful exhalation. Hold. Hands float down, foot comes in. And ideally, the hands coming down and the foot comes in, that all happens together, right? I just had my foot come in a little bit quicker than my hands. So ideally, inhalation. So I'm not leaning forward, ideally, not leaning back. No breath, ideally. Oops, I took a breath. Last one for introducing upper body and lower body together. Turn into the line I've been walking. There you go. It's upper body, lower body, breath, movement into the earth. Didn't really talk about that, but I feel that driving the lead leg and the back leg down and into the earth. Don't mean to make a pun here, but be careful of how much you bear down on the push. We want to activate the isometrics of the exercise without straining the muscles. And also the Qi. Remember, when I'm doing this, when I'm moving into that position, governing the Qi to settle into the Xi Dantian, as I'm doing this, I'm moving it into the shoulders. So, without further ado, I'm going to start with my feet about shoulder wide, close to parallel as possible. And on the before I do the pass, I'm going to draw the earth energy 3 times. Settling, getting in touch with my inner bear. Not unlike, what is it? Is it Allstate that does the chaos character? There's the commercial with him being a bear. Be an inhalation and draw up, and an exhalation. Drawing that earth energy up. Settling it. The Xia Dantian. 3rd time. If I can, holding my breath. So I shift that foot out to the 45, bring the rear foot in. Inhale, settling the Qi into the Xia Dantian. Exhale, driving it to the shoulders. Driving might be too hard of a word. Ideally, no breath there. Inhale, relaxed, palms facing in. Hold for a beat. Switching to the heel again. Switching to the heel, rolling in. Rolling heel, instep, ball of foot. Forceful exhale, pushing. And ideally, no breath. Inhale. Sorry, I got distracted by a thing. I heard a clock start chiming, and I was like wondering, what time is it? So again, I'm able to do 45 to 45. I found my step. If I step much longer, I'm going to run into a kipping issue. So I'm in that right space where I can keep the hips under my shoulders. Sorry for that long hold. Inhale. Last one. Turning into the line we've been walking. Rebound. So I'm going to turn and go this way so you have the rear view. I can just judge where I'm at. Okay. Move back. First couple of steps may be off camera. That's okay. A few breaths here. Just once again getting in touch with my inner bear. Seems to be thirsty. I guess you could say I have a grizzly thirst. Ba-dum-bum. Maybe I should call a doctor. Sorry. Not really. Taking a moment. Stepping away from the puns. Finding an exhalation. So I can inhale and drop. Notice I'm not lifting my shoulders. And my elbows are not glued to my lats that I have what we call in Tai Chi are sunken chested, rounded back. Second time up. Second time down. Third time up. Third time down. Going to release the hands. So turn that right foot out to the 45. And let that foot come in, ideally not breathing at this point. Inhale, turning to the 45. Palm to palm, about chest level, maybe lower chest, probably not upper chest. Switch to the heel. Thinking soft on the outside, great power underneath. Inhalation up, drawing, governing the qi to the Xi Dantian, moving it into the shoulders on that exhalation and shift forward. Ideally, no breath. Inhale, thinking solidity, steadiness. Inhale, drawing to the qi, the Xi Dantian, holding breath and movement. Exhale, moving the qi into the shoulders, thinking driving down into the earth as well. Inhalation. Ideally, no breath after that exhalation. Inhalation. If you saw that, you may have noticed I brought that foot back a little bit. I wanted to give myself room for 2 more steps, which is an important thing, inhalation. If you're doing a circle walk with a group of people, last to the left. You want to play as you're learning the last inhalation in the meat of the frolic. Turn. Face the direction you've been walking. Rebound. Because you've got to be able to govern your distance between you and the others in the circle. Because different people have different strides, sometimes different rhythms as they're doing the animal frolics. I mean, the idea is try to find that sense of community and maintain that sense of community. So you may find yourself feeling like you're coming up, you're starting to tailgate somebody. So that's what you may have to do, right? That little step that I took moving in that direction, normally, my foot is here, I'm going to set the heel down and I'm going to shift forward. So I'm moving forward, not by that much, right? If I do a sideways view so you can see a little bit better, boom. Cover a little bit of distance forward. But what I might do is when I switch to the heel, bring it back. I could actually, if I find myself really tailgating somebody, almost behind. And then ideally, I do that a couple times, and then I can go back to my regular. Or you feel like you're losing space between you and them, and the person behind you is starting to get into tailgating you, then again, you may have to add a little bit more effort in keeping vertically aligned, because this is a little bit out of my comfort zone instead of, being back here. So here, step it a little bit more forward and down, boom. Step it a little bit more forward and down. So you can close space with the person in front of you. You can open space between the person behind you. Some of the frolics, that's a little bit easier to manipulate those steps than with other aspects of the frolics. So just something to keep in mind, not necessarily important if you're doing a linear version of the animal frolics that's all linear. Definitely not an issue if you're doing a more static kind of one position stepping version of the frolics. But if you're doing a version such as ours that we do in our lineage, where you're doing a circle walk, you have to develop a sense of community. Sometimes what we end up doing is, having, I guess you'd call them concentric circles. In other words, we have one circle for certain members of the group and another circle for others. So we all get a circle walk and we can avoid traffic jams. It usually happens in bigger crowds and that sort of thing. But there you go. So last of the Bear Frolics. Again, beneath us in our commentary are links to the others frolics of the bear: bear walking, bear fighting, bear swinging, bear turning. This was bear pushing. When we come back next time, again, a little late, won't be in our usual 3-week rotation, but I think we'll get it in on the 4th week. So just a week's delay. This one was almost delayed with the whole moving into a new space thing that was happening this week. But anyway, here we are. We didn't have to delay. Should be Tai Chi themed. It might end up being sort of more physical training or stretching. We haven't quite decided yet, but it should be something in the realm of Tai Chi oriented, because that's where we are in this particular rotation. We'll see when it comes out. And then the next time we come back to the frolics, it will be either the last of the monkey or the last of the deer. Getting to the end of the frolics. It's been a long road. And I think that's it. So don't really have anything else. As always, thanks for your time and attention. As always, please keep in mind, yes, we screen all the comments, but that isn't for our egos. It's not to pull out anything that anybody says that's negative. If you flame us, then probably yes. But if you're constructive in your criticism, if you have some suggestions, if you have something you'd like to tell us about where you'd like to see, our video catalog go, as far as other topics that you'd like to see approached on our channel, then that's cool too. We screen all the comments because the algorithms of YouTube don't seem to catch all the spam, which is usually, shall we say, adult oriented. But we also do post a link on our Facebook page, Water Tiger School of Tai Chi Chuan. It's a little bit more Wild West on Facebook, but again, if you flame us, it won't stay up and you'll get banned. So again, be nice. But if you don't like something or want to point out, hey, you fell over 3 times during this video, can't argue with that. So thanks for your time and attention. I hope you found this interesting, entertaining, useful, and unless you're not a big fan of puns, then at least a little bit punny. Hope you could grin and bear it anyway. Oh, oops. Ta.